You can achieve anything you want in life if you want it bad enough and you believe in yourself.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Fireside Chat. My name is Sarah Dusek. I'm the CEO and founder of Pranary. Pranary is the community of game changers. We are leading the game changer movement in Africa of entrepreneurs and leaders who are trying to build a prosperous Africa. So super excited. And we're super excited to host Mark Moses, who is a game changer. Mark is the founding partner of CEO Coaching International, which has coached more than 875 top high growth entrepreneurs and CEOs in over 45 countries. Mark has won Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award and the Blue Chip Entrepreneur Enterprise Award for overcoming adversity. His last company ranked as the number one fastest growing company in Los Angeles and number 10 on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing private companies in the US. CEO Coaching International has appeared in the Inc. 5000 list for the last 7 consecutive years. And Mark has completed 12 triathlons, Ironman triathlons. That's super, super amazing. So Mark, welcome. Welcome to today's conversation.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Great. Let's start from, tell us about your journey into entrepreneurship. How did you get started? What led to that?
So I was 17. I was in high school, and my dad was an entrepreneur. And during some tough economic times, my dad struggled with his business and then ultimately went bankrupt. And so at 17, watching that happen in my house was, it was sad to see. And I was leaving soon to head off to college, but I didn't have any money. So I got some school loans from the government and from the school. And I went to college, but then I figured that I needed to make more money to pay for it. So at 19, I started my own business, and I didn't really know much about business, and other than I was going to work really hard and give it my best shot. And that's how I get started. I started this little business painting homes for, I was a kid, I was 19, painting homes for adults that owned their own homes. And I would convince them that me and the students that were working for my organization would do a good job. And in exchange for that, they'd pay me for the job. So in my first summer doing this, I did $70,000 worth of business and made $18,000. And back then in 1985, it cost me $4,500 a year to go to college. So I had lots of money left over and thought that was pretty cool. And the next summer, I made $35,000 of profit on $120,000 worth of business. And then I thought, wow, this is really cool. I don't need to get a job as an accountant. It was boring to me anyway, that I could actually start my own business and eventually hire an accountant. And so that's how I got started.
Fantastic. Wow. That's really inspiring. Like just starting from scratch as a teenager. And tell us now about Platinum Capital and the first 2 big businesses that you built, and you grew them to over $1 billion before exiting.
Yeah, so here's what happened. So when college finished, I was living in Canada, and I just I drove to the United States, to California. It was about 2,500 miles across the country. I'd never been there before. I started up that same business in California. I did it for 4 years, built it to 250 locations and 3,000 people, and then sold the business when I was 26. And then I took almost 2 years off, and I then started a mortgage company. And I felt qualified to be in the mortgage business because I had a mortgage. And that was the extent of my experience in the mortgage business. So that's how we got started. It was a pretty rough start early on. The guy I joined up with said, "Hey, look, Mark," he was a mortgage salesperson at a company, and he said, "When I join you, 10 of my friends in my company will join us." Well, that was back in 1993, and I'm still waiting for even one of them to join. So we ended up renting a bunch of space, and he and I and one assistant started this business. And so it was slow going, getting it going. But through some perseverance, we eventually got the business going. And over a period of years, through many ups and downs, we ended up building the business to 1.6 billion in annual business. And I remember I think it was 1997, I hired an elephant. And I rode the elephant down the street. And that's not common, maybe more common in Africa, probably not that popular, but I hired this elephant from the zoo, rode the elephant down the street into our office building. And the message was, if you think big and act big, we will be big. Let's do $1 billion. So it took 8 years to do $1 billion. And then in the last year that I had the business, we did 1.6 billion before selling the business.
That's really inspiring. As I watched some of your other talks, and you shared that you set a goal that we're going to build $1 billion business, and then you asked like, let's hire an elephant, and then you did it. But at the time it sounded crazy, and even that looked crazy. But I mean, 8 years later, you made it happen. Can you tell us about the importance of, I think then we'll get into the importance of the 4 questions that entrepreneurs need to, CEOs need to ask themselves in order to make big happen?
Well, that's a great question. So you're talking about make big happen. Yeah. So my feeling on it is, you first got to decide what it is that you really want. And so think about whether it's 3 years from now. I kind of like the 3-year time frame because it's not too far away, but it's far enough away that I could dream a little. I like a 5-year time frame because it's a little bit further, and then maybe I can build stages along the way to achieve different milestones. And maybe as much at times for maybe I call them a huge outrageous target for 10 years from now. So if like I remember when I was in college, or it was just after college, I read this book, and the book was called "If It Ain't Broke, Break It." And I thought the title was kind of catchy. And so I remember inside the book, they had asked at one point, dream a little bit. What would be the dream? And I said at that time, I think I was 24 years old. I said, I would like to someday sell this business that I have. That was my dream. And then I said, someday I want to win the US squash championship. That was kind of a big deal. I had just started playing. And then I said, someday I would like to do international business. That would be really cool because I don't know anything about international business. And then I said, the last thing I said was, someday I would like to be able to speak around the world and people would actually be interested in what I might have to say. And it is amazing, as a kid at 24 having these dreams, they all came true. And so even I have two kids. One is 22 and one's 21. Since they were 6 years old, we would all post our goals for the year on the fridge. And color photos would go with it, if they were one was gonna be competing at rowing, and another one was my son wanted to run a marathon in Antarctica when he was 14. Who knows why he wanted to do something that crazy. But it's amazing how much stuff gets done if you actually write it down, you post it somewhere where you can look at it every day. And it's amazing what will happen if you do that. So I'll tell you one story, and that your friend Sarah knows this this person I'm going to talk about. This guy was completely broke and reached out to me to be his coach. And I said, no, man, I don't think so. And I'm sold out. And he then convinced me to take him on as a client. And he announced at our first meeting with his company, he was going to take his business and over a 10-year period, build it to $1 billion. And his company looked at him and they laughed at him. And he achieved the goal 5 years early. Recently, on November 1st, now he sold the company 3 times since this time. The last time was for $1.1 billion. Okay, so pretty impressive. He announced to his company, talk about thinking big. This is even bigger than I think. He said, 1 billion in profit in 5 years. Like, oh my God, that's really, really, really big. And I believe he will achieve it because he has set the steps. What are the specific and measurable activities I will keep score on that will drive that outcome? So it's amazing. So my message is figure out what you really want, and then just figure out how. This is question number 2 in Make Big Happen. How am I going to get what I want? What's going to stand in the way of me getting what I want? That may be our own blind spots, our own roadblocks, our own head case, maybe. And then how am I going to hold myself accountable to ultimately get what I want? And so that's really the premise of Make Big Happen. What do I want? What do I need to do to get it? What's going to get in my way? And how do I hold myself accountable to get what I want? But none of it works if you don't first decide what is it that I want.
Great. I loved reading that book, and I'm looking forward to the second book where actually Sarah Dusek is mentioned. So I'm excited about that. Oh, there it is. Great. So I totally recommend to everybody who's watching this, like, read Make Big Happen, because it really takes you step by step, starting with a vision, because a lot of people just leave it at vision to say, yeah, just think big, and then just leave it there and hope magically that it does happen. But you break it down in terms of what do you need to do to make that happen. Could you now just dive deeper into each question, to just give us a little bit more of the how? You talked on the first question, now on the second. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, I'd love to, and I'll even give you an example. So imagine that you say, and I'll give you an example that a client gave me at one point. He said to me, I want to do $70 million in new business next year. My question was, what are the specific and measurable activities we can keep score on that will drive that outcome? So he says prospect meetings. So meetings with potential clients. I said, how many? He said 400. I said, okay, if you do 400 prospect meetings, will you achieve your goal of $70 million in new business? He said, absolutely. Based on my history in the past, I will achieve that. I then asked him, all right, how are we going to get 400 prospect meetings? What are the specific and measurable activities we can keep score on that will drive that outcome? And he says, people attend my seminars. I said, terrific. How many? He says, 2,000. I said, okay, if 2,000 attend, that means to get 400, we need to convert 20%. Okay, that makes sense to me. If you're a good speaker, you probably do that. Now, how are you going to get 2,000 people to come and listen to you? Like, you're a handsome guy and all that, and sort of charismatic, but that's a lot of people to come and listen to you, and you're not even famous. He says, I'm going to make 21,000 phone calls to my target audience. I said, wow, 21,000 phone calls. So he had 3 people, he divided up the list, and they made X amount of calls. Just you divide the math, right? 21,000 divided by 3 people, divide by the number of days, how many calls they made per day. So that year, he did $84 million in new business by following the process. If I do X, I will get Y. And that is, if you ask me, what is one of the biggest things that enable people to be successful? It's really, once you've determined what you want, if you can find activities, not outcomes, like if you tell me I need to go sell more, yeah, okay, how? What activities are you going to do to drive that? You may say to me, I want to do a marathon. I've done lots of those, so I understand that. And now, what you got to do is you need to schedule. How much do I need to run every day to build up to do the marathon? Some days I need to run 3 miles, some days maybe 5. As we get near the end, I'm running 20 miles. And if you do X, you will ultimately get Y. That's the premise to question 2. Question 3 is about you. So what's going to get in your way of achieving it? Is it lack of confidence? Is it money? Is it fear? Is it I don't know what to do? Is it I don't have the courage? I don't have the right people? It's all the stories one tells themselves. So then how do I overcome that? What's getting in my way? And if you take each one of those and go, how do I overcome this? How do I overcome that? Now you've overcome all these issues. Now then, and how do I hold myself accountable every day, every week, every month, every quarter? And if I do that, if I just do what I said I would do, I will ultimately achieve my outcome.
Fantastic. I think that covers it. I think I can't emphasize enough how important your book is and how you phrase the questions. And that also, I think, explains why you've helped all these companies to grow the EBITDA and to grow and exit. Great. Thanks. There's a question from Daisy. Daisy is asking that if you visualize what you want and then you identify the potential hurdles, wouldn't that prevent you from getting started or getting going?
Well, Daisy, my belief is first identify what it is that you want. And if you really want it bad enough, nothing's going to get in your way. Now, if you define what are the activities, if I do X, like I explained earlier, I will get Y, then I would then say, okay, you got a plan and you got a scorecard. Now do the X so you get the Y. Then ask yourself, what about you is going to get in the way? And how do you overcome what is happening to you that will prevent you from achieving that? And once you've identified that, then you could, now you know what your blind spots or weaknesses are, figure out how to overcome those. Rather than, I learned this in my own business. Hey, we didn't achieve plan because of ABC. Okay. rather than wait till the end of the year for people to tell me why they didn't achieve it, tell me in advance what's going to get in the way, and tell me in advance how you're going to overcome it. Okay, now that we've dealt with that, are you good? Great, now let's go get it done.
A question from Tensang saying, how do you retain the best people in your business?
How do you, one more time?
How do you retain the best people? After you hire the best people, how do you keep them?
Well, it's normally as a coach, I would push that back to, well, what do you think? And but I won't do that to you today and put you on the spot. But so people want to work for an organization where they feel valued. They want to work for an organization today that's purposeful. And I've learned that around the world, people are more motivated by that than they are motivated by just an extra couple of bucks. So look, I'll work hard for you for your cause if I believe in you and your purpose of what you and your business stands for. And if I do that and you create an environment that's inspiring for me to help me as an employee achieve my goals, then I want to be with you.
There's a question from Sarah. How do you manage the problem of spending money on top talent, but knowing you also have to manage your cash spend?
Oh, Sarah, that's a good question. I know you know the answer to that. And look, this is hard, right? I get this question all the time. How do I hire the best where I'm barely paying myself and I need money for inventory, or I just need money to keep the lights on, right? How do I do that? So it's really about thinking about, if I don't find a way to do that, how am I going to achieve my goals? So there are a number of ways that you can pay for talent. And I'll give an example. One way is you could just borrow some money from somebody that will loan you enough money to hire the talent. Two, you might be able to trade a little bit of long-term incentive or equity in exchange for paying them less for now and more later. You can align their compensation to performance. You achieve X, we'll move you to 2X or 3X or some multiple of that. Then you go, well, I'm not going to be able to attract that person without that, like really paying up to get that kind of talent. So then the example I'll give you is, I was speaking at an event in Montreal, Canada once, and somebody said to me, and the numbers are big, but I'll use the example because I think it's a good example. This guy said, look, I can't afford to hire top talent. I said, okay, what role are we talking about? And he said, head of sales. And I said, well, how good is your current person? Maybe a 4 out of 10. And so after I threw up, I said, because that's not going to, it's a 4 out of 10 now. How good is it going to be in helping us achieve our 3-year goals and 5-year goals? Probably not good, right? So, well, what are you paying that person now? And says, and the math will sound big, but extrapolate the math to your own environment, okay? He says, I'm paying this person a $250,000 salary and a bonus of $150,000, and that would be a total of $400,000 a year. I go, yeah, that is a lot of money. How much would a new person cost? And he said, new person, like a rock star that would be like a 9.5 out of 10, maybe even a 10, would cost me a $400,000 base salary and a $200,000 bonus, maybe even more on the bonus. I said, well, what would a new person generate in new business for you if you hire that rock star, 9.5 to 10 out of 10, how much new business under that person's leadership will they generate this year? And this guy says, $10 million in business. So I go, well, that sounds like a lot, but let me ask you, what are your gross margins? I want to make sure it's a profitable 10 million in business. I don't want to hear it's 2%. I'd like to hear a big number like 30% or more. And he says, well, it would be 40%. 40% gross margin. So 10 million times 40% be $4 million in additional gross profit. And it would cost you 200,000 more all in. So why won't we do it? Like, that sounds like a no-brainer to me. And he said, Mark, how much do you think they're going to generate in month 1? I said, 0. How about month 2? 0. Month 3, 0. Month 4, maybe a little dribble. Month 5, maybe a little bit more. But by the end of the year, we'll be running at a run rate of $10 million. So why do they not do it? They don't do it because of the uncertainty and the cash flow in the early days. And what if they made a mistake and they got the wrong person? And what if by making that mistake, the other people in the organization quit and go with the other person that left somewhere else? And what is everybody else going to think of me as a leader by replacing that person with a new person? What kind of leader am I that I let somebody like that go? So this is all the head trash one deals with in making that decision. So the question is what you have today good enough? I never believe is good enough. No, you want to build a great company, hire the best. It's up to you to use your resources to figure out how to align them with your vision and create an economic pay package for them that works for you and them. And if you don't have the money, find a way to borrow it or pay them later. Sorry for the long answer.
That's an excellent answer. It's like a mic drop right there.
I'm glad you said that. I got my mic right here. So
yes.
I'll drop it.
Excellent, because you've really touched on what Sarah and Lilimba and Jake and me and the Enigma team we were always talking about when we're encouraging entrepreneurs to spend on top talent. But you've answered it very, very well in terms of just balancing, because there's that head trash you talked about and it holds people back. Like, what if? And then also we think in short term. So you hire somebody and month 1, month 2, month 3, they've done nothing. Like, okay, they need to go. Then now you're afraid to make any big decisions again. Then you just
you got that exactly right. So I need to be at least a 9 to 9.5 probability based on their past that they're going to win here. I really got to believe. If I am in doubt, I will not do it. So I really want to press on. There is a very, very high degree of certainty on your part that they will achieve what you and they believe that they will achieve. If so, now you got to win-win. And if you have doubts, like I said earlier, there is no doubt. Do not do it. If you're going to make a big bet, make sure you get the big bet with a very high degree sense of probability that you will be right.
Fantastic. And what are your final words to the entrepreneurs here at Pranary? There are entrepreneurs from over 50 countries, mainly in Africa. We have a few from Turkey, Sweden, UK, and USA.
But my final words are this: you can achieve anything you want in life if you want it bad enough and you believe in yourself.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you very much, Mark.